Hi everyone, welcome to Hope at Home. We're having a bit of a different service today. Joe grew up in nature, and this Sunday we're presenting something a bit more creative, and we just get that sense that, I don't know if you do too, but when you're in nature, that you are so much more surrounded by God. Not that that's true, but I think we just have a lot less distractions. Psalm 96:12 says, "Let the fields be jubilant and everything in them, let all the trees of the forest sing for joy." There's just something about knowing that all creation is with you, worshipping God. So as you watch this service today, just take some time to worship God through it. It is a bit different. There isn't worship songs, but there's just that sense that God is with you through this journey. So bless you as you listen to Joe today, and I'll see you at the end.
It's so great. It's so great out here in nature because nature gives us a real problem, doesn't it? You see, nature always defies us on the answer to why. I mean, why is a vital question for us, isn't it? I mean, just think about it. Like, if I was to take the sample of this tree down to a scientific lab and get people who are botanists who understand all of the things about the chemistry of the tree and how this all works, they could break it down, couldn't they? They could microscopically take it apart and they could tell me how. They could tell me how the moisture from the ground works with the sunlight and the chlorophyll in the tree and it could tell me all of the how. But it could never, there's no scientific instrument that's going to ever answer the question why. Why is it shaped like this? This is a peculiar tree. These spiny, pointed needles are so different than other trees. And yet it does the same purpose, but nobody can tell me why. Why are these seeds, these tiny seeds, in this shape, in this way? And why is it like that? I mean, nature is full of the mystery of why. In this tree, it looks this way. But we can easily see by looking all across nature that it's not done just this way. It's done thousands of different kinds of ways in so many beautiful colors and different methods. And every one of them, we can never find the answer to. Why? You know, why is also a great question for us in our faith. Because why can dig down into the depths of us to really discern, why are we so confident in what we believe? Why are we certain? Because you really do need to be certain in the things that you believe. Why? You know, Toyota Motor Corporation, they came up with this idea that to make better cars and to make their manufacturing process perfected, that they would ask 5 whys. Rather than just say, oh, it's not working, or, we keep coming up with the same problem, they would ask the question, why? And so they came up with this idea. It's called 5 whys. And here's how it goes. It's just an example. So suppose you go out in the morning and your car battery is dead. The way to really work out why it's like that so it doesn't happen again is to ask 5 whys. Why is the battery dead? Because the alternator stopped working. Why did the alternator stop working? Because the belt that powers it was broken. Why was the belt that was supposed to power it broken? Well, because it was worn out from too much use and too long in its purpose. Well, why was it left that long? Well, because we didn't do maintenance properly. And if you fix the why problem, the 5th why, then you don't end up with dead batteries ruining your day. But I wonder for you and I, could your faith survive 5 whys? If somebody was to challenge you and say, oh, is that what you believe? Why? Whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, a Buddhist, or Christian, could what you believe survive 5 whys? Everybody's got reasons. They've got whys to their beliefs. And in fact, I actually think that the Bible is written to demonstrate that people don't come to faith for no reason at all, or just because of something cultural. That I think that the Bible is written to us in a way to show that we need reasons, we need whys to believe things. And it's very honest about that. In fact, at the end of the book of John, which is a story of Jesus' life, he kind of summarizes the whole point of writing it. He said, these miracles that I've recorded for you, written down for you, these are written so that you can believe in Jesus. It's so that, he said, there are thousands of miracles. There's so many. We could never write them all down, but I chose these few miracles so that you would have a reason to believe. Because when things get tough, when it's hard to believe, when kind of your existing reasons from your life have evaporated because, I don't know, you got sick or you lost your job, or maybe you just have these moments of doubt where you're like, why am I even here? And what's my life about? You need answers. And what I find is that people don't have enough whys. They don't have enough reasons to believe. You could take even the simple atheist who thinks that you live here on this earth and then after you're gone, you die and that's it, everything's gone and you're just... Why do they believe that? What evidence is there for that? How is that proven to them? And if you ask somebody, why do you believe that? They don't survive more than 1 or 2 whys. But could your faith survive several whys? And that's why I think that in the Gospel of John, he starts out with a very simple story, a need. The need is they're out of wine, and in order to save this family's reputation, they need wine at this wedding. And so Mary goes to Jesus, and Jesus, he just says things. He doesn't wave a wand or something. He just says stuff. Fill those water jugs with water. Take him to the bride, to the master of ceremonies. When he tastes it, water has become wine. And the only people who knew what was going on were his disciples. And then you know what it says? It says that when the disciples saw that sign, they put their faith in him. You see, up to that point, if you'd asked them or challenged them, why do you believe in Jesus? They have very little reason. But after that moment, they go, well, he's the guy that turned water into wine. And then the Gospel of John just goes on. It tells several selected stories. Jesus heals an official's son, and the disciples all see it. And then he heals a person that has been crippled, unable to walk, who's lying by this special pool that's supposed to be magic. And Jesus comes along and heals that guy. The disciples see it and their faith grows. And then Jesus goes teaching, and there's a crowd of 5,000 people, and they have no food. And so Jesus turns 5 loaves and 2 fish into enough food to feed 5,000 men and their families. There could have been 15,000 people there, and Jesus does that. And the disciples took home the leftovers. And then Jesus sends the disciples across the lake on a boat, and then he walks on the water. And then Jesus does something that is just beyond anybody's expectations. In fact, never heard of. In fact, they actually say this in the text. Never heard of this. There's a guy that's been blind from birth. And Jesus chooses this moment. In fact, he sees that this moment has been created by God so that he can do this miracle and reveal his glory. And this guy, blind from birth, has his eyes opened and he can see. And the people come to him and go, hey, who healed you? What? You know, you can't be saying that this Jesus is a miracle worker. And then the guy's arguing back saying, hey, look at this. I'm just talking about somebody who opened my eyes. I'm not saying anything more than the facts. And then they are like, well, why can this guy open people's eyes? And they just keep asking this question. Why? They say, if he's a sinner, if he's not from God, then he should not be able to open people's eyes. Like he shouldn't be able to give sight to the blind. And then the guy that's healed goes, I'm telling you the story. I used to be blind and now I see. And they say, we've never heard of anyone opening up the eyes of the blind. And you look in the Bible, it doesn't happen until that moment. And then there's one more miracle. One more miracle that finishes with Jesus giving us the solution to the rest of the miracles that we're going to need. It's the best of all of the whys. You know, the greatest miracle, in fact, the miracle that gets Jesus in the most trouble is the raising of Lazarus from the dead. So he died, he was in the tomb for 3 days so that all the evidence would be absolutely certain. There's no way this guy's coming back unless somebody with a greater authority comes to change it. And Jesus comes and he talks to his sisters, and when he's got everybody in this position where they're just kind of going, maybe, he goes to the tomb of Lazarus. But before he raises Lazarus from the dead, he says a prayer. And the prayer is the most strangest prayer, but it's a prayer that reveals why he was able to do all the other miracles. And he just says, Father, I know you hear me. You always hear me. I'm only saying this so that everybody will know that you always hear me. And then he says, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus rises from the dead. And he is alive, and they take the clothes off him. It's the biggest miracle, and everybody goes, oh, no way. And Jesus' enemies then try to kill him from that point. But it's what Jesus said at that moment. Jesus says, the reason why I can do all of these things is because the Father always gives me whatever I ask. And knowing that Jesus gets what he asks for is the strongest position for our faith. It's the best of all of the why. Why do you believe that you are going to be saved? Why do you believe that your sins are forgiven? Why do you believe that you will be protected in this world, that you will be blessed? Why do you believe that God has made you for a purpose? It's because of one most important reason. Jesus asked for it. In fact, in Jesus' last great prayer, he says this to God, his Father, all mine are yours, and all yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. I'm no longer in the world, but they are in the world, and I am coming to you. Holy Father, keep them in your name, which you gave me, that they may be one, even as we are one. That's a beautiful ask, isn't it? Jesus knows that he's leaving, and so he says, Father, make sure that my life is glorified in them. So that means that everything that glorifies Christ is available to you. It's available in you and through you. And he prays that we'll be kept inside of his name, his authority, his right to stand before God. And that gives us our position before God. And then he prays that we will be one with God. No longer separate people wondering where our position is, but we would actually become one. And my friends, that's where our confidence comes from. The confidence that Jesus asked for us to have this place in the life of God, so that his power, his protection, his favor, and ultimately his salvation will be worked out in us. If you want to know why I believe because Jesus, who clearly had more authority than anyone else in history, had the blessing and favor of God, and Jesus prayed for me. And I believe he always gets what he asks for. Do you? Why do you believe? I'll tell you, knowing that Jesus is on your side and you have the right to everything that he had, that gives us confidence for everything in life.
Thanks for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you for your giving. If you're giving online, we really appreciate that. And let me just finish by asking you, why Jesus? Is Jesus your why? Have you got questions for him today? So as you go out about your day, have a think about that, and we'll see you next time.